Hello, welcome back to another race video. As you guys can probably tell from the title and thumbnail, I made a bunch of mistakes in this race and unfortunately got overtaken right before the line, getting pushed into 4th place. So let's have a look at the race footage and see what I could have done better. Well, first thing, definitely don't do what I did here at the start line. Don't be fiddling with your camera or a bike computer. You know, a good start is very important in a race. All of my best results so far have started with me getting a decent position off the start line. Thankfully, I still managed to slot into 3rd wheel, right behind Eric here in front of us. But yeah, the front guy is starting to pull away. Yeah, you can hear me shouting at Eric to not let the gap go. And most races, start out really fast and the whole field strung out behind us. But usually after a few laps, it will kind of settle into a more sustainable pace before picking back up again in the last few laps. So I really didn't want to let the front guy get too big of a gap, because especially in a technical fixed gear race like this, it might be too hard to close it back down later on. So I think here I decided to just go past Eric to try to close this gap. Yeah, I do it right here to try and close this gap on my own, getting into a more aerodynamic position, trying to maximize my speed to jump onto his wheel, this guy right in front of us here. But unfortunately, I think I was not able to get into his draft before this technical section again, making this left turn here. And he's definitely much faster than me through the corners. The gap's starting to widen up again, and I guess this is why Eric couldn't hold his wheel in the first lap. And I'm also very aware that I'm definitely not one of the more technical riders in the race today. I generally spend most of my time riding on the track in circles, so I knew I had to make it up in the straights, and that led me to choosing a slightly heavier gear ratio than most of the people that I spoke to. I went with a 53 tooth chainring up front at a 16 in the back, and I was thinking that this will allow me to have a higher top speed, and I should be able to use that to my advantage in the straights, as I'm trying to right now, trying to close the gap on the guy in front of me, kind of unsuccessfully. But yeah, no, in hindsight, I think I would have done better with a lighter gear ratio, because I'm slower through the corners, right? And that means I'll have to do more acceleration coming out of each turn compared to somebody who's better at holding their speed and momentum through the corners. And it might not seem that much, but kicking up to 400-500 watts repeatedly out of each turn definitely took a toll on me, and I paid the price at the end when I had no more matches to burn for the final sprint. But yeah, I had a quick look back here and saw a levy on my wheel, so I decided to let him through and finally get out of the wind for a little rest. We're definitely in good company here. Levy's a really fast and technical rider. He won the Velociposse Crit last year, which had the tightest course in the whole series. I mean, just look at the gap he pulled on me through this hairpin. And that's another point I probably could have done better at. Just look at my power now. I'm doing 250 watts-ish, 270 watts to try to get back on his wheel, versus when I'm already in his draft, like right now, I'm doing 115, 100 watts. That's almost half the amount of watts I needed, and we're still going at the same speed as before, 40-41k per hour. So it definitely makes a lot of difference to be able to stay in somebody's draft, especially accelerating out of the corners and especially in the faster sections of the course. While there isn't much I can do in the race to improve this kind of on the fly, just watching this back definitely highlighted to me how much work I need, how weak my cornering abilities are, and it would be something for me to focus on, to work on, especially now that it's the off season. And just look here, it's another example of what we talked about before, having to use a lot of unnecessary watts just to close the gap and not even making up any new positions. And I think here I noticed that the gap to the front guy shrunk a little, so I decided to go again. Here I decided to go again around Levy, especially since it's such a short race. I forgot to mention that there was a heat wave on this weekend. In fact, I think it was the hottest day of the year, so the race was cut short to just 8 laps. So I was thinking, since it's such a short race, I don't need to conserve my energy as much, and was really kind of careless with when I chose to make my bigger efforts. But honestly, with this, I'm not very sure if it was a mistake or not, because in my mind, I'm the weakest one here among that bunch. There was me, Levy, and one other guy, so 3 of us was chasing this front guy up ahead. I don't know, I was definitely the weakest one among the bunch in my cornering abilities, so I wanted to attack and not bring the 2 of them up with me up to the front guy. That way I can kind of at least secure a second place position if they don't manage to bridge up themselves. What do you guys think? I don't know, was that the right decision? But obviously I didn't manage to execute that plan. So here I had a quick look back and realized that they basically just let me dangle for a lap and just caught up to me after the technical section. So I decided to just swing up track and slaughter behind them and try to rest up. At this point, I realized that I basically had no chance of being able to bridge up to the front guy, and even if I did, I probably wouldn't be able to hang on with him through the corners. So I've resigned myself to the fact that I'm going to be in this little chase group, the 3 of us, and now I need to figure out the best positioning possible going into the final few laps. And for me now, I think since I'm the slowest rider through the corners among the 3 of us, what can I do to my advantage? And I thought, okay, I might need to get on the front before the technical section. That way they will not be able to get a gap on me out of the corners, and we can kind of come out onto the straights on a more even playing field, the back straights on a more even playing field. So that's the plan for the final lap. For now, I should try and conserve as much energy as I can, but instead onto my next mistake, which is doing too much work on the front. If you notice, the guy in the black jersey that was right in front of me did a very short turn before pulling up the track, and I should have just been smarter and just followed him. Yeah, we got 2 laps to go now, and considering how much work I've already done, with the big efforts earlier trying to chase the front guy, I should have stayed off the win as much as possible, especially since my plan is to outsprint the 2 of them from the front. So I need to definitely conserve as much energy as I can and not waste any energy like what I'm doing right now. But I think I was just too excited, and I was just stuck in the mindset of going as fast as possible, and I didn't even consider that the other riders might be playing cat and mouse, kind of like what Levy's doing right now. He left a gap for me to fill, and that means he gets to skip 1 more turn, and he gets to be behind 2 people, so that's better draft. But what I could have done instead is probably just drop back behind him and leave the gap there. That way it will force him to close it up himself. And I think here I'm a little bit smarter. I decided to swing up and not get on the front, but immediately got too excited again, got too eager, just went back down onto Levy's wheel. But we're coming into last lap to go anyways, so I decided to start executing my plan of moving up to the front. But Levy also started to sprint and help me on his hip, so I couldn't get around him. I didn't want to go all out, you know, I didn't want to spend all my energy on this effort, so I just had to fall back onto his wheel. But immediately, as we see here, going to the technical sections, he opens up a gap on me, which is what I was afraid of. And I already know that it's going to be another big effort for me just to be able to get back on his wheel. So instead, I decided that I'm going to try to use that gap as a rush room to get around him before the last hairpin. If I can get enough speed differential as I'm coming around him, as I'm about to right here, he shouldn't be able to kick up to speed and jump on my wheel. So I was quite confident that I would be able to get a gap on him. But what I didn't realize is, and I should have looked back here, is that the other guy was on my wheel this whole time, which actually helped fill the gap for Levy to get onto his draft. And then it's just both of them flying past me towards the line, and I had nothing left in my legs. So just rolling in 4th place here. Not the results I was hoping for, but I think it's still pretty decent for someone who's only started racing a year ago. Plus, every race is a good learning opportunity, it's a good learning experience. Hopefully some of you guys managed to pick up a thing or two from this video, and you won't have to make those same mistakes yourself. And if you're still here at the end of the video, thank you so much for watching. Please leave me a like and a comment. And if you're into fixed gear or just cycling in general, please consider subscribing. Hopefully I'll see you in the next video.
Yes, Nikki! I like that! That was fucking good. You got pipped on the line, it's okay.
Yeah.
It happens.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Nice one, Big Nick.
Yeah, probably great done.
Thank you.
And Eric didn't lap me, all good.
Oh, man. You were like, oh, I was like,